CJ Bailey and Darian Mensah in a matchup this weekend, by the way, between Duke and NC State, Duke hosting NC State, that features the two highest graded passers according to Pro Football Focus in the ACC. Carson Beck might be one of the one or two Heisman favorites, depending on which sports book you're looking at, but he is not the highest graded passer in the ACC. That falls on Darian Mensah of Duke, and the second is CJ Bailey of State. And the craziest part about it is CJ Bailey is 19 years old, Darian Mensah is 20. These guys, can't legally drink yet, let alone even think about renting a car like some quarterbacks can when they're in their 7th and 8th year of eligibility. It's kind of a testament to just the way football players are brought up nowadays. In high school, you're learning how to read defenses, so as a freshman, you can come in and run right through it, where, 10 years ago, I think most of high school reading defenses was the corner looks short, my receiver looks tall, I think I'm going to throw it to him. There's only one person guarding my best player, I think I'm going to throw it to him. Now it's getting much more complicated, they're much more ready. So CJ Bailey looks like a wizened old veteran, to the point where I'm talking with Mike Glennon, former NC State quarterback, and he's surprised when CJ Bailey doesn't go to the right place in a route combination or in reading out a concept. It used to be if you had a 19-year-old starting quarterback, you'd borderline be surprised if they got it to the right spot. You just hoped, even with a bad decision, he didn't have a huge problem with it, didn't make the big mistake. Now he's surprised when Bailey doesn't go to the right spot. Darian Mensah is a $4 million player, according to NIL reports. He's a 20-year-old quarterback. Dave Doran, head coach of NC State, talked about these two quarterbacks. First, we'll hear him talk about his own guy, how CJ Bailey can beat you in multiple ways.
He's a big weapon. He's multi-talented. He can think, process information. He sees the game. He understands what's coming at him. He knows his teammates really well, his chemistry with those guys. He knows where to put the football. He understands protections. He's seeing defenses way better than he was a year ago. And he can run, and he's a really tough kid. So he's a really good player and a great human being. So, I'm blessed, to have a quarterback like him right now, and one that just cares so much, not just about the guys. He cares about the program, he cares about the school, he cares about his teammates. And so, yeah, it's fun having a QB like CJ running the show.
You can tell when a coach really likes a player if you ask him like a small question about him, they almost have to run through all of the checklist of things. If you talk to Dave Doran, you'd be like, how did CJ Bailey develop as a passer in the offseason? He's going to go, well, as a passer, he does this, this, and this. As a runner, he does this, this, and this. As a leader, he does this, this, and this. As a off-season workout guy, he does this, this, and it's just like, oh, you got to say it all because you can't help yourself. Well, Dave Doran, the head coach of NC State, what did he have to say about the opposing team's quarterback, Darian Mensah, and what makes him a threat in their passing game?
He's a really good passer. He can throw every ball. He can put a zip on it. He can throw it way down the field. But this year what you see is when he's scrambling to throw, he can make all the throws on the run. And he's made some really nice scramble throws down the field. He's a good runner. He's obviously not a guy they want to run downhill at you all the time, but you got to trust your edges. You got to be sound on QB run game. And, he's won a lot of football games. At Tulane, they were a really, really good football team. So, he's been a leader on a winning football team, so he's got command presence.
A lot of good things right there. Ran through the whole list for Darian Mensah. They're not playing like young guys. They're not playing like not upperclassmen. They're not playing like they're not 21. They're playing like old souls. And you hope they continue, but I think the game could come down to which old soul gets rattled like a youngster. Which one makes the couple of bad decisions? I'm not saying either of them. I don't think either of them will have a game this year where they make, half a dozen awful decisions. But I think if you get them on the if you confuse them, you can get a couple out of them. And it's funny because we're going to talk, by the way, with Manny Diaz later in the show, Duke's head coach. He joined us earlier. We'll play that conversation for you, the Heister Automotive Group hotline. And in preparation for that, I stumbled into they're right there. It's not like I do digging. It's turnover margin, right? Their turnover margin is a direct input into what the output of the games are. The win versus Elon, they won by a bunch. Darian Mensah did not turn the ball over. They lost in a blowout to Illinois, one of the best teams in the country. What did Darian Mensah have? 1 interception and 2 lost fumbles. They lost by a bunch. Bunch of turnovers, lost by a bunch. Then they had a close loss versus Tulane. It ended up being a 1-score game. Well, what did Darian Mensah have? 1 interception. Small amounts of turnovers, small losing margin. Big amounts of turnovers, big losing margin. No turnovers, big winning margin. Then we're talking to Mike Glennon, which, by the way, check out the Pack Therapy podcast, available everywhere podcasts can be found. And we're talking about the NC State side of things. And I asked him to give me an if-then statement. If blank happens, then NC State will win the game. That simple. Fill in the blank. And he goes right to, and by the way, he's been right the last 2 weeks, right? If this happens, then NC State wins. The thing that he filled the blank in with, State did. They won the game. So going into this one, I'm interested to hear it. And he says, if CJ Bailey can avoid turnovers. I even pressed him on it. I said, are you going to give him one? You going to give him a little wiggle room? You going to give him one? He said, no. He said, if he avoids, he said, I want a clean sheet. If he avoids turnovers, NC State wins the game. So now you're going into a conference game. Big games are always in league play.
Yeah.
Crosstown rivalry, right? 2 teams that know each other, respect each other, all those sorts of things. And there's direct evidence on both sides, either expert analysis or statistical observations that say if your quarterback keeps it out of the other team's hands, you will win the game. And I would even go a step further and say if there is wiggle room, the turnovers may be coming from somewhere else, right? If a wide receiver makes a catch, fumbles it or something like that, that's different than a quarterback turnover because coaches can always put wide receivers in the doghouse. All right, not throwing that guy anymore.
Yeah.
Can't do that with your quarterback, right? If your quarterback gets rattled, it's a different beast. So it's I don't think we should take it for granted or just assume that these young quarterbacks, who even Darian Mensah, who started a lot of football games this last year, and actually CJ Bailey, who started a lot of football games last year. Darian Mensah, 1 recruiting class older, but it's his first time in power conference football, right? He was playing for Tulane last year, and CJ Bailey wasn't the starter going into last year. They're still relatively green in their developments at this level. I don't think it's fair to assume the turnovers will be automatically limited. So whoever does that puts their team in a pretty advantageous situation looking at the win. And by the way, a win would be huge for both.
For sure.
State would get to 4-0 with some games they would expect to win up next. Duke would get back to 500. And it's, I always make fun of this, but it's like a pivotal game 4 where 1-3 to 2-2 are 2 different seasons that you're having.
Yeah, 1-3 and 0-1 in the conference
is
for Duke if they lose this one. But State goes to 2-0 in the ACC. Like you said, 4-0 and a couple of looks like easy games coming up.
In a weird way, 3-0 in the ACC. It's like
True.
2.5 in the ACC. I don't know. It's a non-conference conference game against UVA. So it is a pivotal game on both sides, which means it's pivotally important that they protect the football.